Your name, your address, and your phone number are floating around the internet. Easy for strangers, scammers, and companies you've never heard of to find. Data brokers and shady databases collect and sell your private details to anyone willing to pay, putting you at risk of nonstop spam, scams, and fraud. You can't stop them from collecting data, but you can control who gets to keep it. That's why I use Incogni. They remove your private information from more than 420 of these sites automatically. And with their unlimited plan, you get total coverage. If you spot your personal details anywhere else online, just send them the link, and their privacy experts will get it taken down. It's the easiest, most complete way to protect yourself and personal life. Right now, you can lock in 60% off with my exclusive deal at privacykim.com. Go to privacykim.com right now and start protecting your privacy. This is so important. Privacykim.com. That's privacykim.com.
Welcome to the Kim Komando Show podcast for the weekend of December 16th, 2023. Thank you for being a community member. Here's hour one.
All right, I always like to start with something fun and interesting. And I have a question for you. What would you do if you won the lottery? What would you do if you won the lottery? I mean, I would definitely not stop working. Yes, I would keep working these crazy 60-hour weeks because I love what I do. No, I wouldn't. I don't know. I'd go buy an island somewhere. Okay, the reason why I bring this up is what did the guy who won the $2 billion jackpot last year do? Oh my gosh, imagine winning $2 billion. A guy by the name of Edwin Castro, he went on vacation to Fiji with all of his best friends, and then he just totally removed himself from all of social media. He opted for a lump sum payment of $997 million. Wow. Then he had to hire a slew of bodyguards for himself and his whole family. He bought real estate in Bel Air, Hollywood Hills. I don't know. I'll tell you something. If I ever do win the lottery, I'm going to share it with everyone. I will. Not the money. I'm just going to let you all know that I won. And on that happy note, you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. And to those of you joining us for the first time, a warm welcome to you. We're thrilled to have you aboard. And to our loyal listeners, welcome back. You look amazing, darling. And I'm, of course, Kim Komando, America's digital goddess, here with you once again. It's the biggest show, the most trusted show about all things digital. And you can find my award-winning show in over 420 top stations across the United States. And you can also find us as a podcast, as a webcast, commercial-free, over at Komando.com. Just hit that big old button that says Komando Community. And a big hello and salute and Merry Christmas goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, reaching over 375,000 U.S. service members, serving in 175 countries and 200 ships at sea. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And hey, I need two things from you. Okay. Number one, the best way for us to grow this show and podcast is for you to tell one friend. That's all. Just tell one friend. And also, number two, tell me what you like. Tell me your questions. Tell me what you want to hear more about by heading to Komando.com. That's with a K, of course. And then hitting that button that says Email Kim. All right, just for you, dear one, I check out 35 to 40 different websites every single day. And here are the top 5 things you need to know that's happening in tech right now. And starting with this, I was getting ready for work on Thursday morning, and Barry came into my bathroom and said, "You are so smart. You are just so smart. You said this was going to happen over a year ago. Because of ChatGPT, people won't need websites anymore." And I looked at him and I said, "After all these years of being married, you just realized how smart I am?" All right, the idea of building a website is really over, unless you're providing something very unique. Maybe you're a unique shopping site or you're an influencer. Here's the reason why. Google's been testing this AI product called the Search Generative Experience on 10 million folks. The search site can pull up answers directly and put it just right at the top of the page. And then with ChatGPT, you don't have to go to a website anymore. So guess what's happened? Google has been, notice past tense, has been delivering about 40% of traffic to media websites. We're talking about news sites, magazine sites, large and small, about 40%. And now with all these new changes, guess what? Going down to a big fat zero. So here's the deal. If you have a website and you depend on Google traffic, you have to pivot now, because if you don't innovate, you will evaporate. Moving on to number 2, Google's also doing something else. They're getting rid of cookies. They're going to be killing the internet cookies starting January 4th. It's going to roll out to 30 million people, 1% of Chrome users. You see, websites use these third-party cookies to do what? They track you online. They figure out what you're buying. You know, that pair of ugly boots that you looked at, they just follow you all around the internet until you're like, okay, stop, I'll buy them already. So what's going to be the replacement? Google's going to let the Chrome browser look at what you do online. That data will stay within the Chrome browser itself. Then the Chrome browser will sort in what they call ad topics. So if you're religious into sports, you're going to see ads for those. Now, this may be a privacy win, but remember, this isn't really Google protecting your privacy because, you know, the P at Google does stand for privacy. It's about them keeping all this data for themselves. So instead of letting other websites in on tracking and storing data, it's just going to be Google. Number 3 in our list of 5 things, I would never buy a Tesla again. Never, ever, ever. After more than a dozen crashes involving the autopilot system, some of them fatal, Tesla is finally recalling almost virtually every Tesla made from this year since 2012. Wow, 2 million cars, almost all the cars. Tesla's autopilot requires your attention to drive. They say they have systems to check whether or not you're paying attention, but easy to fake out. And maybe a weight that attaches to the steering wheel can trick the system to thinking you're actually looking at the road and you're holding that steering wheel. So what has Tesla done? Nothing really. So now U.S. safety regulators are stepping in, and Tesla's responding with updates to ramp up the warnings. Now, I will tell you my personal experience. I've owned a Tesla. If I relied on the autopilot, I would not be here right now. Telling you, damn thing nearly killed me twice when I was testing it out. Once, almost ran into a truck. Another time, almost wanted to go up a hill. I mean, just blew through a stop sign. Crazy. Number 4 on our list, you want a good deal? People are lining up early in U.S. strip malls to sift through items that people have returned. They're called bin stores. These are the stores loaded with everything that we're returning to Walmarts and Amazon and Target and Kohl's. In 2022, $816 billion worth of merchandise was returned in the U.S. That is a huge number, isn't it? $860 billion worth of stuff. So these bin stores buy the returned items in bulk and then they resell them. You can find anything there. Electronics, TVs, clothing, shoes, you name it. Well, social media has boosted the popularity of these bin stores when people are sharing their flips for profit. So how do you find a bin store? Well, you can Google bin store and then your town, or you can go to this website, binstorefinder.com. Once again, that's binstorefinder.com. And finally, coming in at number 5, handing out your phone number is just risky. Identity theft, creepy folks, robocalls, not exactly what you signed up for when you signed for that cellular contract. So what should you do if you're pressured to give up your number? Well, you can try one of these decoy numbers. I saw this tip trending on Facebook the other day. Now, for you gals who are being pressured to give your number, you can try the rejection hotline. That's what it's called, the rejection hotline. And this works for romance scammers or just scammers in general. Here, take a listen.
Hello, this is not the person you were trying to call. You've reached the rejection hotline. Unfortunately, the person who gave you this rejection hotline number did not want you to have their
isn't
real
that
number.
sad? That's just so sad. I mean, what about? I mean, so here's this guy or gal, or they think like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. I got her number, and then they call and they get the rejection hotline. Oh, okay. For companies you don't know very well, you don't think that they're trustworthy, you might send them this number. It's called the Hall and Oates hotline.
Welcome to Hall & Oates, your emergency Hall & Oates helpline. To hear one-on-one, please press 1.
That's all it says. Keeps going on. I can't go for that. I can't go for that. Yeah, that's right. So so if you want these numbers, we're going to put them in a newsletter coming up. So if you don't already get our newsletters, head over to getkim.com. Once again, that's getkim.com. Okay, as part of your entry, I will tell you that you are going to have to get at least one issue of my free newsletters. That's all. You just get one issue of my newsletter. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe. It's one-click unsubscribe at the bottom of every single newsletter. But I think you're really going to love the newsletters because I'm telling you, I get so much positive feedback. As a matter of fact, This morning, before we get to phone calls, I have to tell you this. I was so excited because I looked at the number of subscribers. We are approaching 450,000 subscribers, and only 2% say they don't like it. Whoa, isn't that amazing? 2% don't like it. I'll take those odds any day. Anyway, to enter to win that iPhone, go to komando.com/win. All right, let me tell you a story. Before any show, I actually sit down and I say a prayer. And I thank God for everything that I've been blessed for. And then I also thank, I know it's going to sound so corny, but I actually thank all the generations that have come before me that have allowed me to do what I do and to follow my dream. Most of which my grandparents, because I don't know if you know this, but they came over from the Ukraine. They didn't know any English. And my grandmother somehow was able to set up a really successful window washing business in Manhattan, not knowing any English. It's really something. So that's why when I was reading about Storyfile, it got my attention because I always thought, like, what if I could go back in time? What if I could actually talk to my grandmother and find out, like, where did she get this motivation? How did she pull things off? Because let me explain. Storyfile harnesses conversational artificial intelligence, AI, of course, to create this virtual interaction with the generations that have come before you, your ancestors. So you pose questions and then the AI responds using actual voice recordings of your relatives. Now, wouldn't that be something? It's like they're just sitting there right next to you. And to give us this inside scoop on this amazing technology, we have Stephen Smith joining us, the co-founder of Storyfile. Hi there, Stephen.
Hello, Kim. Nice to speak to you.
So give me the story, the background of Storyfile. How did you get started with all this?
Well, it actually began about 10 years ago. I was part of something called the USC Shoah Foundation, which is Steven Spielberg's Holocaust Survivor Archive. And we were thinking about how do you perpetuate the conversation with that remarkable generation of people who suffered so much and have so much to be able to share in answering questions. And we developed a program to be able to converse with Holocaust survivors well into the future. While we were doing that, Kim, we were taking it around museums to test it. And people were coming up and saying, can I do that with my grandmother?
Wow.
Could I interview the founder of our company? And we went, oh, yes, the Holocaust survivors have got a lot to teach us. But in fact, there are 8 billion people who have got stories to be told, and they are precious and they need preserving. And that's what started the origins of Storyfile.
That is something. How is it currently being used in other places?
Well, first of all, we do use the technology, for example, for museums, where a good example of that is the World War II Museum in New Orleans, where veterans, of course, are just at the very tail end of having these heroes part of our society and are now passing away. And so you used to go into the World War II Museum and meet veterans who would welcome you there and talk to you. That's no longer possible now because they're approaching 100 years old, the youngest of them. And so, in fact, we've recently interviewed about 20, mainly centenarians, who are leaving their stories so that visitors of the future can still meet them and talk to them. That's one use case, but then families are using it too. Just regular people can use something called Storyfile Life, which allows you to sit down with grandma or mom and have a talk and capture the essence of their life and their history, and then it becomes conversational for the future.
So how many hours of recordings do you need? Because I have to tell you, Stephen, we have tried to AI my voice so many times. I mean, and not to project what I might say. I'm just talking about the tone, the cadence, my slight New York accent, especially if you ask me to say the word D-R-A-W-E-R, it's going to come out joie. For some reason, I know I just can't say that. But how many hours of recordings? And take us through that process just a little bit.
So I've got 2 ways to think about this. The first is this: authentic storytelling is a little bit like a digital photograph album where actually all you're doing is putting this into this scrapbook, this digital scrapbook, all the things that you remember about your life and your story. And what happens is the AI in this case is your interviewer. So essentially what it's doing is it's asking you questions based on the things that you talk about. So I might talk about being an oral historian, which is my background, and then the AI will then serve me up a bunch of questions about the thing that I do. So the first thing is it's drawing out of you the story of your life. And then afterwards, what it's doing, it's processing that and it's looking at all the transcripts. And so when I come to have a conversation, let's just say with my father, who is still alive, or my mother, who is now passed away, what it's doing is looking through all of that content and bringing back the most appropriate content. And then in future, what you're going to be able to do, I was just talking yesterday to a gentleman who has had a 20-year career as a business coach. Mm-hmm. And he said, I don't want to tell all of that again. I said, I'll give you the fundamentals. And then what we'll do, we'll take all of his lectures and his tapes and his blogs, and then we'll turn that into an AI avatar, so that in the future, you're able to go and say, hey, professor, can you tell me about this aspect of business? And then it'll draw from that archive and then power his avatar.
Okay, that is amazing. That is really phenomenal. We hear of so many bad uses of AI, how it's going to take over the world and kill all the humans. But being able to project into the future and have these conversations, I think that would be really something.
If you happen to be passing through Bentonville anytime, where the Walmart Museum is, you can go in there and you can have a conversation with Sam Walton. And that was built basically by taking the archives of the Walmart Heritage Group, Sam's speeches and the taping that they did of him in various times, and then we composite that into his character. Sam is basically helping to train the next generation of store managers. They go on training there, and Sam is one of their trainers.
Wow. It makes that whole Abraham Lincoln exhibit in Disneyland look so archaic, huh?
Yeah. Well, we're being helped by a lot of technology tools these days, Kim. And, we're living in I personally love all of the developments in AI. I know there's some really scary stuff, but what we're looking at Storyfile is how can we harness those tools for authentic storytelling, to go deeper into the human experience and not to sort of just avatarize everything and make everything so, bots and droids and right. Taking the human experience down a peg. What we're saying is, how can we use AI to lift up our stories and make them more accessible?
If it's not too hard for you, can you talk a little bit about what it was like to do Storyfile with your mom?
Yeah, so our platform is called Storyfile Life for a reason. It's actually really not about death, any more than, for example, I would keep a photo album because I think I'm going to die. I keep a photo album because I'm celebrating the wedding or the birthday or whatever it is. It's moments of celebration. So I see Storyfile about celebrating the life of an individual. We had COVID. My mom and dad were stuck there. I didn't see them. I lived in the States. They live in England. So I went to visit them at the beginning of last year. I said, Mom, I'd love to sit down and ask you some questions on Storyfile Live. And she said, okay. Now, I sat with her probably 4 or 5 hours. I asked her about 120 questions, all the things I've been dying to ask her for years, and didn't have the courage to ask because, families have taboos and they don't talk about this and they don't talk about that.
It's true, yes.
And I'm an oral historian. I still don't have the courage to ask my mom. I asked her all the questions I've always been wanting to ask. She was a fit, healthy 87-year-old. I was not interviewing her because I thought she was going to die. And then 6 months later, she suddenly passed away.
Wow.
She'd had a very good life. But one of the questions I'd asked her, which is in the Storyfile catalogue of questions, is, what would you say at your funeral? So I thought, well, there's only one day I can ask her that question, and that's at her funeral. So I brought her life-size, TV monitor into the event, the wake afterwards, and there she was. Life-size, with 200 people looking at her. And I asked her questions, including, what would you say at your funeral? And, she gave such a lovely, at her own funeral, gave such a lovely talk to her friends, and it was so humanizing. It sounds a little creepy. It was the last thing, because there she was, her face, we'd just seen this box disappear.
Right.
And then suddenly her smile was there, and she was just talking to people just as naturally as she would do, looking into the camera. And, we asked her a number of questions, and it was a beautiful send-off, actually.
Do you still talk to her that way?
Well, I'm not attached to it insofar as I have to speak to my mom. But for example, my grown-up kids, they're in their early 20s. A few months after that, said, Dad, can you send us the link to Grandma's interview? So I said, sure. And they sat in the living room, my kids and their cousins, just talking to their grandmother and asking her questions about their family heritage and history, things that they'd never talked to her about when she was alive. It was magical to watch, I have to say. Just felt like it wasn't reinventing her or trying to bring her back from the dead. It was just a conversation between her and her grandkids. And I loved being an observer to that. It was very interesting.
Well, it's kind of like taking it to the next level. I mean, where we all have the stories that we pass down. I know about my parents, my grandparents that I've passed down to kids along the way. And instead of us passing it along, they're passing it along, right?
That's exactly it. We're not good, Kim, at being ancestors.
No, we're not.
We go through our lives, 60, 70, 80, 90 years. 16 hours a day, we live the best lives we possibly can. We raise our kids, we go to work, we have a career, and we don't spend more than a few hours, if we're lucky, passing on our story to the next generation. But 60 years from now, there's going to be some great grandkid who wants to know what their heritage, just like you were saying about your grandmother, what you would do to be able to talk to her.
I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah, my father was diagnosed with dementia, and my then 19-year-old daughter said to me, "Dad, look, I want my children to know Grandpa as I know him today." And it was just when we just created this technology. So she sat down with her grandpa and asked him all the questions that she would want her children to ask him, so that they would experience him as she experienced him. And I have to say, it's a treasured family interview, because he couldn't do that interview today.
So, how much does it cost, Stephen?
Well, we allow everybody to have a story file for free. So it's about 35 basic life history questions. So if you go to Storyfile Life, it's actually life.storyfile.com. And everybody can do a basic 35 question interview. And you can talk about a lot in that, actually, and get a really nice little, experience with that. And then it starts at around about $50 to start adding on sets of questions. If you want to buy the whole life membership, it's about $500.
Yeah, I purchased for my mom one of those books, that you fill out, like, tell me about your legacy. She never did it. She never wanted to do it. I kept bugging her, can you fill out this? So I ended up asking her some questions and things like that. But having the prompts, I think, is really important. And then being able to, like you said, to take that audio file and that visual file and to extend it. I just think that what you're doing is really remarkable, Stephen. And thank you for telling us about it. I'm sure that a lot of folks who are watching and listening right now, they're like, hey, that's really cool. It's not creepy. It's actually really wonderful use of AI and technology.
Thank you, Kim. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
You betcha. If you'd like to learn more about Storyfile, as well as they have two competitors, we have an article posted over at komando.com. That's komando.com, just in case you didn't know. All right, Apple recently shared the results of a study from MIT on the growing threat of cyber attacks around the globe. Listen to this, 2.6 billion personal records were breached in 2021 and 2022. And I bet you that number is even higher for 2023. So it's time to do something about it. We're talking about end-to-end encryption. It has always been the default for Apple Messages and iCloud Keychain and health data. That's great, but you might be missing out if you're not using what's called the advanced data protection. This way, all your messages in iCloud, iCloud Drive, notes, photos, reminders, bookmarks, any shortcuts that you have with Siri, your voice memos, your wallet passes is actually turned on. Now, to do all of this, it's a whole bunch of steps. So we have it posted on the website, but you're going to get into your settings on your phone and start there. iCloud, and then you scroll to the bottom and tap on Advanced Data Protection, or you can just search for Advanced Data Protection on your phone itself. What about Android? Doesn't have the same thing. They have something called Google Play Protect. It performs daily scans, disables malware, harmful apps, but it really doesn't do end-to-end encryption. We've got more information about this on the website as well. So if you want to learn more about it, well, let's look no further than komando.com and hit that button that says Show Pics. All right, Kevin in Portland, Oregon.
Hey, I just want to say I'm a huge fan of the show and the newsletter and the podcast, especially your Friday show, but we really need to get the lesser half of the ATM on board with your newsletters.
Oh, I know. We do, don't we, Andrew? We got to get them signed up. Hey, some big news about the podcast is that starting in January, Andrew and I are going to be doing a podcast every single day, just like that Friday format, because everybody seems to love our Friday podcast. So
I do. That's great. That's great news. And, although I'm one of your greatest simps, I promise I'm never going to ask you for photos of your feet. I promise.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. I know you're a simp. Hey, didn't you win a cap?
I did not.
All right. Well, I think you did just now. So hold on. After we get done chatting, give Amber your name and address, your full name and address, rather, and then we'll send you out an official show cap. So this way you can truly be a simp as you're walking around Portland.
Awesome. Thank
So
you, Kim.
what's going on?
So I'm quite an introvert, and I love spending time out in the mountains of the forests of Oregon, and there's no cell phone coverage there. So I use an old-school GPS, and I have for many years for two main reasons. Number one, I have a horrible sense of direction. People tell me it's so bad I can get lost on an airplane.
Oh, no.
Number two, my wife of 37 years, who gladly tells me where to go all the time, doesn't enjoy bouncing around next to me in my Jeep during these excursions. So my GPS, I have been able to update it periodically, and then I no longer can. Every time I try and update it, it says it doesn't have sufficient memory to provide the updates. So before I buy a new GPS, my question for you was, are there any recent iPhones that have the ability to use truly satellite GPS, maybe on downloaded maps?
Well, what you can do is on your phone, whether on Google Maps or Apple Maps, is that you can go ahead and select the area that you're going to be navigating around. Then you can download all the apps to use in offline mode. And so this way you don't even need any cellular data or a satellite connection in order for you to see the maps. And so you can follow along that way. There are also some, I was just thinking when you said taking your Jeep. Have you ever used the app All Trails?
Yes, I have.
Because some of those maps, I think like 99% of them, that you can also use in offline use. And so that's basically what it means. It's offline, is that you're going to download the maps in advance wherever you're going to be heading out. And then wherever you're going to be hanging out, you're going to download them before you leave, obviously, so that wherever you get where you're going, you're just going to pop up that. Now, there are satellite GPSs. There are some satellite tools that you also might want to take with you. Like the brand new iPhone 15 and as well as the 14, it has SOS mode. So just in case you get stuck in a place where you flip the Jeep or whatever it may be, that might be a safety tool. That might be a safety tool for you as well. Because if you can't call 911, it's going to automatically use satellite connections to give your longitude and latitude to the local emergency response team.
That makes sense. And which models of iPhones is that available on?
The 14 and 15. 14 being last year's model, 15 being this year's model. I had the 14 and I purchased the 15 and I put them side by side and they look the same to me. Okay, so
I think you'd probably call it a 14.1 maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sitting there going like, oh my gosh, I just wasted like $1,500. But then I'm like, okay, well, this is my job, so yeah, I have to do that. So try the offline maps. I think you're really going to like that. And since you're already familiar with the All Trails, download the trail maps for offline use there. Good for not only driving but also hiking trails. And take a look at that iPhone 14, 15. If you don't want that, there's also something called the Spot Satellite, and Garmin has a tool as well. Spot Satellite is just what it is. It's about the size of the palm of your hand. And then you can also give instructions for emergency responder. You get stuck in a tight space as well. Now, Kevin, because you're a simp, don't forget, hang on the line. Amber's going to get your name and address, and we're going to send you out an official Kim Komando Show ball cap. And thanks for all your kind words about the pods and the newsletters and good things like that. Speaking of, did you hear about the new GPS for seniors? Did you hear about it? It's a new GPS for seniors. Not only does it tell you how to get to your destination, it tells you why you wanted to get there. Ho, ho, ho. That was a good one. Wasn't making fun of anybody. I just want to make you laugh. Michael in Indianapolis.
Well, I had a question about identity theft protection. I am currently a customer of LifeLock and have been for about 6 years.
Sure.
But they changed ownership, as I'm sure you're aware of, and my customer experience, I would say, is not satisfactory. So I was wondering if you could recommend an alternative.
Well, there are different identity theft services out there, and of course, LifeLock, now owned by Norton, is probably still the biggest one that's that's available. If you don't want to pay for this, there are things that you can do before we talk about options. You can freeze your credit, and you have to do that on the 3 credit bureaus. And we've got steps on how to do that over on the website. But if you are truly concerned about your identity, and if you don't want to play with the big boys anymore, the LifeLocks of the world, there's a company called Identity Guard. They do basically the same thing: monitoring alerts, identity theft. They do credit monitoring. They have fraud resolution, and they used to be a sponsor of the show, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and they're still out there and full force. So if you're looking for an option for identity theft, just take a look at Identity Guard. There's also Identity Force, by the way, Identity Guard, Identity Force, and then consider freezing your credit. And again, we've got the steps on how to do that. What that means is that nobody's able to get any type of credit information about you because your credit report is frozen. And when you do get a request, you have to unfreeze it, or if you're going to apply for a mortgage or a credit card or whatever, is that you go ahead and you open your credit card up for your credit report for a particular time, say 24, 48 hours, and then you lock that sucker back down. Hey, Michael, thank you so much for your call today. Such great questions. I love hearing from you guys and gals, which, by the way, if you're just too shy to come on the show, I get that. You can always drop me your questions on the website. Head over to komando.com. There's a link that says email Kim. And I do read every single note that you send me. And I know whenever I say that, one of you is going to send a note and go, oh, let's just see if you read this one, Kim Komando. Let's see if you respond. I don't have time to reply to everyone, but I do read every single note. I do reply to some from time to time, though. Again, that's komando.com, and that link is email Kim. Are your apps listening to every single thing that you say? Well, there's a list in your phone that will tell you if they really are. And here's the scoop. When you install an app, do you actually ever read the terms and conditions? No one does. But inside that legal mumbo jumbo, you may have said yes when you clicked agree that you gave that app permission to listen using your phone's microphone and start collecting data. So how can you see which apps are actually doing this? Well, for iPhone users, go into settings, tap privacy and security, and then the microphone. This pulls up a handy dandy list of all the apps that are using your mic. And then from there, just disable the apps you don't want picking up conversations. Now, for Android owners, it's a similar story. Head over to your settings menu, find the app's permission manager, disable the mic for any apps that shouldn't have it. And finally, before you download an app, just read the reviews in the Apple app or Google Play Store, because sometimes they divulge that. Hey, don't forget 24/7, you can always find me at the website. That's komando.com. If you own a home, listen up. This is scary. The FBI is warning about a crime on the rise: home title theft. And it doesn't happen the way you might think. No break-ins, no stolen keys, just a forged signature on a single piece of paper filed with the county. In minutes, criminals can transfer the title out of your name, then use your ownership to drain your equity or even sell your home. The worst part, most people don't know what's happening until they get collection or foreclosure notices in the mail. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. When you visit HometitleLock.com/Kim, you'll get a free title history report and a 14-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, including 24/7 monitoring of your home's title, urgent alerts to changes, and if fraud does happen. Their U.S.-based restoration team will work to restore your title, covering costs up to $1 million. Don't wait. Protect your home and equity today. Get your free 14-day trial at HometitleLock.com/Kim. That's HometitleLock.com/Kim.
Thank you for listening. Here is hour 2.
All right, let's start with me asking you a question. What is the absolute best sandwich to leave Santa by the fireplace this Christmas? The best sandwich. We're not talking about cookies and milk. We're talking about a sandwich, because Santa could be really hungry. Well, the Daily Mail asked ChatGPT to create the ultimate Christmas sandwich. Roasted turkey. Add some sage stuffing, some brie cheese, cranberry sauce, and gravy. Oh, doesn't that sound yummy? Then the AI says after that to add ham, some slices of bacon, and a layer of Brussels sprouts. What? Brussels sprouts? That sounds just gross, doesn't it? Sounds terrible. But speaking of Brussels sprouts, listen to this one. Jean-Claude Van Damme is the muscles from Brussels. So who are his kids? He's from Brussels. The kids are Brussels sprouts. Yeah, that was a good one. I heard you laugh. And on that happy note, welcome, ladies and gents. I'm Kim Komando, America's digital goddess. This is the biggest show, the best show, the most trusted show about all things digital. And you're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now truly a tech thing. And you can find my show on over 420 top stations across the United States. And if you're looking more for a podcast or a webcast, head over to komando.com and click that button that says Komando Community. You're going to get an experience at 100% commercial free. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I'm always just a click of the way. And a special shout out goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, serving more than 375,000 American servicemen and women in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Space Force in 175 different countries. Love you guys and gals. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. All right, it's my labor of love. I go to at least 35 or 40 different websites every single day just to make sure that we're both up to date on all things digital. Here are the top 5 things you need to know about right now. For over a year, I've been talking about Temu, that Chinese shopping app that's too good to be true. You find $17 wireless earbuds, $1 gold necklaces, a $16 wedding dress. Yeah, super cheap stuff. And for that reason, Temu is super popular. It has over 100 million active users here in the U.S. Well, the reason why I bring this up, a report from Vox says Americans are being lured in by a gamified experience. Okay, I just wanted to see what they were talking about. So I went onto Temu today and I won a $100 coupon bundle. I don't know what that means. But these discounts are designed to just pull you in. They're just sucking you in, making you feel like you're a constant winner. And the deals are crafted to pique your interest. So this way you keep coming back. And they're always going to give you the impression that you're just snagging a great limited time deal. Here's the catch. A lot of items on Temu are actually priced higher than what you'd find in other places. Okay, so you may not be getting the best deal. Oh, this is so funny. Speaking about going shopping, and aside from the fact that Temu is a Chinese app, and I don't think anybody should be using it, actual conversation between me and Barry the other day. I actually was in the kitchen. I said, hey, I'm going grocery shopping. Do you need anything? And Barry looked at me holding a gin and tonic and said, I'm looking for inner peace and happiness and a sense of fulfillment. And then I looked at it and I said, be specific. What kind of gin would you like? Oh, I keep saying we should have like our own comedy show. Number 2, you can't buy love, but it doesn't come for cheap either. Daters everywhere are paying hundreds of dollars a month for dating apps like Match and Tinder, OkCupid. Now, the free version of these apps are just full of ads, and they are virtually unusable because they keep trying to upsell you. A Pew Research study found most daters are spending, are you ready, $19 a month on dating apps. So to really find the love online, you have to pay even more than that. Coffee Meets Bagel. If you want their premium version, it's $35 a month. Another app called The League, okay, they have a VIP membership. How much do you think that is a week? A VIP membership in a dating app called The League, okay? $999 a week, or wait, they're going to give you a discount for a month, $2,499 a month. Oh my gosh, crazy. Moving on to number 3. If you notice anything unusual in your Amazon account, you're not the only one. People online are saying, hey, I can think my Amazon account got hacked. And I've been getting just a slew of emails from you guys and gals saying the same thing. Here's what's happening. People are saying that hackers are adding new mailing addresses to their Amazon accounts, making them legit spots like Amazon Locker or Amazon Fresh. Okay, this is not a security breach. You didn't get hacked. Amazon is just adding nearby hub locker locations to your account because they say that this is going to be a secure spot for you so you don't have to worry about porch pirates. Call me cynical, but that's one reason. But these lockers are also less expensive for Amazon to deliver the orders to. I mean, think about it. They don't have to go from house to house. The last mile is always the most expensive in a delivery. So if they can just put it in a locker, well, more power to them. So if it's unnecessary, just take it out of your account so you don't pick that one by mistake when you're checking out of Amazon. All right, moving on to number 4. AI is being used to, drumroll please, undress women. Yeah, that's called nudify websites and apps, and they strip you of your clothes and your dignity. You just upload a photo of a woman, the app changes the image so she's completely naked. Just grab a photo off of social. Boom, there she is, all natural. Company found 24 million people visited undressing websites in September alone. Ads are up for this 2,400%. Wow. It only works on women's bodies for now. Well, start cranking out the Nudify apps to undress men, and I bet you we're going to see a change there. Just imagine the damage that these could do to the women in your life, your daughter, your mother, your wife. Sickos out there. Moving on to number 5, a happy story. Name that tune. I want you to listen to this clip from a viral TikTok video. Gal's name is Alexa Guitarist. It's going viral right now. Here. Okay, listen to it. You recognize it? Okay, you will in a second. Okay, that's it. Okay. This is a sound that we all know. It's the Nokia ringtone, right? It's the world's most famous ringtone. So how about some Jeopardy answers? This piece is actually part of the Grand Vows by Francisco Tarrega, a classical guitarist from 1902. So why did Nokia pick this? Well, I bet it's because it's copyright free. That's right. In 2009, the tune was heard worldwide an estimated 1.8 billion times per day. Oh my gosh. And what car can't you own if you have a Nokia? What car can't you own if you use a Nokia? Anyone? A Kia. Ooh, get it? Nokia. I know, that was hard. Wouldn't it be great to get the inside scoop on how you can be burglarized? What are the red tail signs? What are you doing that's completely wrong? Well, Jen Gomez knows all this. She was in prison for burglary for 10 years. Yeah. She got out 3 years ago, and that's when she totally turned her life around. She's now making it her mission. That's right. She has over 100,000 followers on TikTok, helping people think like a burglar to protect themselves. For example, what does that Ring video doorbell really do for you? What about key fobs? And how about somebody stealing your wallet or even the RFIDs? She kind of covers it all. So, Jen, thank you so much for being here. Let's talk right here at the start. What are some misconceptions that people have when it comes to protecting themselves?
Kim, when I was burglarizing homes, of course, this was some years back, but there was a big false sense of security when people would post signs outside of their home, just notifying anybody that they had a security system. Because for me personally, that was one thing that I would look for in a home. I felt that if you had a security system, it was likely you had something you wanted to protect inside your home.
Yeah, right.
And it was probably valuable.
So I heard that one of the things that you look for is for a dog. Tell us about that.
A lot of people, they love their animals and they will have something outside that will signify that there's an animal. There's some kind of pet. They'll have a lot of security systems have stickers that say, in case of emergency, in case of fire, rescue my dog or cat. And they'll have that right on their front door. And so if I see that, or really any sign, beware of dog, something that signifies there's an animal, for the most part, I know that the animal is likely walking around freely, which to me indicates that the motion sensors are not on inside the home. And I would look for that so I could target that home so I could walk around freely inside as well. And what would happen is I would think to myself, why don't people at the very least shut their bedroom door, set that sensor in their master bedroom, because that's where all thieves are going to go, and then just let their animals walk around the rest of the house freely. Most of the time, they just turn all the motion sensors off. And if that's because their animals walking around, that's a plus for me. That's a win. So
wow.
I would look for an animal most of the time.
So now you mentioned the master bedroom. Is that always the hot spot to go to?
Oh, yeah. Outside of maybe an office, the master bedroom is 9 times out of 10 where everything's at. It's where there is a safe. It's where there's jewelry. If there's any emergency funds, any, cash stashed in a drawer in a closet, it's always in the master bedroom. So that's pretty much the only spot.
So how long would it take you to go through a master bedroom? It must be, you were probably pretty quick at this, right?
Yeah, it was quick. It was quick, Kim. It was probably maybe 8 minutes tops. no more than that.
And so what was the biggest loot that you got?
Jewelry was kind of it was a hit or miss because I could see something that is worth a lot as a woman. I would think it's worth a lot of diamonds, a lot of stones, but I did not deal in stones. So I needed weight in gold. And so I would look for things that were very heavy. I found a lot of 24 karat gold, but there was one particular time I found a very large Cuban link, 24 karat. It was so yellow. I actually thought it was fake. I had to take it and test it. And it turned out to be real. And that was almost $40,000 just for that one little Cuban link. And besides that, I had noticed throughout the years that most wealthy people have some sort of emergency fund. Like we're in Florida, if there's a hurricane, what if, the banks are closed? And they usually keep that right in a bank envelope, right in their room. A lot of times they have it in a Bible or in a purse in the closet. So I would find that. And the most cash I ever found was $50,000 in cash, all in 100s, in a bank envelope, right there in the person's closet. And I was like, my goodness, this is a lot. I mean,
it's a lot of money just sitting right there.
This is like a whole year's salary for some people.
So what advice would you have for somebody who wants to hide their jewelry, wants to hide their money from somebody like you?
I would say definitely you really don't. I mean, we are in an age where you don't need to keep that much cash in your home. But if you are going to keep some in your home, maybe put it in, I know this might sound bad, but in a child's room. Most burglars, myself included, and people that I've talked to, they don't really go into kids' rooms. There's nothing in there that looks like it could be lucrative. There's no reason to waste time in there. Most burglars want to get in and out. So in a child's room is a pretty safe bet. And definitely do not think that a safe in your room is going to deter anybody, because I would pick those things up and walk right out with them.
Okay, so much for the safe.
Yeah.
So, Jen, how did you get caught?
I actually didn't get caught by my own doings. I got caught because somebody that I was using this man's facility. He had a machine that would melt down the gold. And because I needed to use his machine, he didn't know what I was doing, but I was visiting him regularly. I mean, a few times a week. And what ended up happening was the police were surveilling him. They were watching him, and he ended up getting caught for whatever he was doing. It was independent of what I was doing. And they asked him, who is this woman that keeps coming to your store? His store was like a surplus store. It sold screen doors and bathroom sink knobs and things like that. And they're saying, why is this woman coming? She never leaves with anything. She's clearly not purchasing anything, and she comes regularly. So he told them, this is what she's doing. She's melting gold. That's what she does. She pays me a cut, and then she goes about her way. And, from there, they looked up my license plate, followed me around. They didn't find me or catch me actually doing anything. But when they they didn't break into my home. They raided my home. And when they did that, they found one necklace, one piece of jewelry that was connected to a burglary. And from there, they were pretty much, scaring me, saying, hey, we're going to charge you with all these other burglaries, even if we don't have evidence, but we're still going to charge you based on this one. So I had to admit to it and just start all over.
Well, sounds like you're doing a good job. I mean, you're on TikTok, you're getting a strong following and turning your life around, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that was a wake up call, a big one. So
10 years is a long time.
The whole life.
10 years is a long time, right? That's a long time.
Yeah.
Well,
very long.
Well, I'm glad that you are on the straight and narrow, and best of luck to you on TikTok. And I hope that you grow to 1 million and 2 million and 3 million. And then, who knows what you're going to do then, Jen. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, let's switch gears right now. Let's talk about your Amazon Echo speaker. I mean, it could be ruining your Christmas because it automatically notifies anyone within reach when packages arrive, what's inside with a picture, and this includes your gifts. Oh, what a lump of coal. So you can fix this. Head into your Amazon Alexa app on Android or iOS. Dive right into those settings and then hit the Amazon shopping link. And then just tweak those notifications to your liking. And like for you pro gift detectives, asking the right questions like, what did I just order? Where's my delivery? That might ruin the surprises. So keep the mysteries alive. Dive into that Alexa app and switch off the option that will reveal these item titles, whether you're on Android or iOS. And before we go back to all of your phone calls, let's talk about Venmo, because a lot of people don't realize. I actually was talking to my niece about this, Danielle. She's like, oh my gosh, Aunt Kim, I had no idea that was even happening. Because if you're using Venmo, by default, your transactions are out there in the wild for the entire world to see. Yes, anyone can take a peek at your payment history, like that nosy cousin or a friend that's tracking what you do. Your spending habits are revealed on the Venmo activity feed on the app's home screen, and so are your secrets. You can hide this, though. Open the Venmo app, tap your profile, and then the settings gear. Hit privacy and switch to private. This way, your Venmo transactions are just between you and the receiver and not the entire world. No idea why that is turned on by default, okay? But you make this switch privacy, bam, right back in your hands. All right, Clayton in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
I want to let you know I listen to you every Sunday after church on 11:50 a.m. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I love hearing about the gadgets, but I'm not tech savvy at all, which is why I'm calling.
Well, I can help you out there, and thanks for your kind words about everything that we do over here.
Well, I have twin sons who are now serving in the Marine Corps, and they'll probably be discharged in about 6 months. And what I'd like to do for them is create some type of book, sort of like a coffee table book, or rather a yearbook,
sure,
with all the pictures that they've sent me. I don't want it just to be an album. I would like it to, have some room for text or what have you. And I don't know where to go, so I'm calling you.
Well, first of all, thank you for the guy's service. Your twins, that's pretty awesome.
Yes, it is.
And we are also heard on the American Forces Radio Network. And so I'm so proud to be associated with our servicemen and women in all branches of the military. Now, when it comes time for all these pictures, now the good news is that it's super easy to do, Clayton, really. This isn't something that you're going to be like, okay, I got to get a piece of software, then I've got to learn this, and then I've got to put my pictures in a certain order and only put them in that certain order. No, not at all.
Right.
A couple of places you want to go. One is called Shutterfly. It makes it really easy. What you're going to do is upload all your pictures to a Shutterfly account, and then they have templates for you to import the photos in. And then you can add text around the photos. You can add stickers and emojis or whatever you might want to do with it. You can have hardcover books, which are really nice when you talked about the coffee table book. So you really want a nice hardcover book. Pricing varies on book size, number of pages, the cover type. But really, you can't beat a nice hardcover book.
Right.
Another site that you might want to check out is called Mixbook. It may have more templates than Shutterfly. It's a little bit harder to use, and it might be a little bit more expensive. Now, I have to tell you that if you are a Costco member, is that they have really good books that you can design, and they have it at really some great prices, as you might expect. And they have a lot of customization options. So first, I'm going to recommend Shutterfly just because I've used it myself, and the books are really high quality. Mix, as I mentioned, that Mixbook, it's also good, and also Costco. Now, so what you're going to do is you're going to gather all the photos that you can, and of course you can personalize the photos with captions and dates, maybe some stories that you might get to accompany for a more personal touch. So if like they sent you the photo with a text message, is save the text message as a photo as well. So so you can have the photo and then what they said about that picture right there. So this way they can always remember. And what's nice about these photo books is that you get the memories out of your device, and then you put it on the coffee table, and then people who come over, they thumb through it, and then it just really sparks conversations and good things like that. Clayton, if you need any help afterwards, I am always here for you, 100%. Just reach out and say, I'm stuck here, or how can I answer this, or how can I do this, or because I really want to make sure that your book is just the most beautiful thing known to mankind. Well, aside from my son, of course. Clayton, thank you for your call today. What a fun project. All right. AI has a long way to go, but let me tell you, if you're not using your voice to write, you are just missing out. Dictation, it finally works after all these years. Now, you do have to know some basics to get started. Like you have to insert punctuation by saying it like Kim, exclamation point, or comma, or period, new line, new paragraph. You can say go to or go after a word to move a cursor. Correct that to correct the last thing that you say. Caps to capitalize the first letter. If you want to select something, you can say that and cut, copy, paste. Now, how do you get started? You don't need to buy a special dictation program anymore, although a good headset is actually a pretty good idea. But if you're using Microsoft Word, just open a new document, go to Home, and then Dictate when you're signed into Microsoft 365. On Google Docs in the Chrome browser, open a Google Doc, click on Tools, and then Voice Typing. Windows 10, the Windows key and H will trigger the dictation toolbar. Same thing on Windows 11. And if you're on Mac, just click the cursor where you want the dictated text to appear, and then off the edit menu, you're going to say Start Dictation, and then just do that keyboard shortcut or escape key when you're done. Now, I know you're sitting there going, oh, I don't remember all those, and I want all those steps again, Kim Komando, you went too fast. Well, oh, stop your whining, okay? Head over to komando.com and hit that link that says Show Pics. All right, Jana in Palm Desert, California.
So I'm calling because I have a question. My mom was here visiting recently, and we bought her a new iPad for Christmas.
Nice.
So she and I both had Air 2s, and we upgraded to the 9th generation iPad because my husband found out that ours were going to become obsolete or unsupported in 2024. So to sort of thank her and wish her a Merry Christmas, we got her a new iPad.
That's so sweet.
My mom loves you and thinks you are a genius. I used to listen to you all the time when I was in New Mexico. Unfortunately, where I am currently, you're not on a radio locally, but I do go on your site and research things and listen to you on a podcast. So the problem came when we were transferring the data from my mom's iPad, her old one, onto her new iPad. And she didn't have enough of a charge in her old iPad. And so we plugged it in to charge it up and waited and waited and waited, and it wasn't charging. And my husband discovered that it looked like there was a problem with the port, like the lightning port, I guess, where you plug it in into the iPad, that it was damaged. And so it wouldn't, when, the battery comes on when it's actually charging. So he fiddled with it, and we were able to get it charged up enough. And my mom started using it actually in conjunction with using her old iPad too, because she's on her iPad all the time. And I said to her, Mom, you can't leave your iPad plugged in all the time, because she had them both actually simultaneously plugged in, using them both. And my husband said, you can't keep it charged all the time. That's what damaged your port in your old one.
Okay, he's right.
And it depletes your battery life was the other issue. And then one of the other things that I noticed is that when I went to unplug her iPads from the wall, that the charger things that you plug in were both hot. So I was concerned. I said, Mom, you're going to burn your house down. You can't.
And so when you tell Mom that this is just a bad idea, what does she say?
Well, she said, maybe you should call Kim Komando.
Okay.
Which I said, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Because if she, hearing it from me is one thing, but if she hears it from you, she will trust.
All right. So what's Mom's name?
So my mom's name is Joan.
Okay.
Joan lives in Texas.
Okay. So Joan, your daughter's very smart. You are brilliant, Joan, because you said I was brilliant. So I'm going to go ahead and give you that brilliant card back. By keeping your iPad charged at 100% over time, you're going to stress out that battery. You want to keep it between, say, 20 and 80%. That's the lithium-ion batteries. So what you want to do is just make sure that you don't keep charging it over and over and just keeping it plugged in. Because here's the deal. You have a newer iPad. It actually has a feature that's designed to extend the lifespan of the battery. It's going to learn your charging habits. It's going to actually slow down charging past 80% when it knows that you're going to start plugging it in. And that's that big range, 20 to 80. You don't want to sit there leaving it at 100% all the time. Now, if you want to keep it plugged in, because I'm talking to Joan right now, right? If your mom wants to keep it plugged in, what you can do is get her a smart plug, or she can get her own smart plug. And so you can program it to turn it off after a certain amount of time or certain times of the day. Because I don't know, Jana, is it something like where she doesn't want to bend over to plug it in all the time, so she just leaves it plugged in?
I think that's part of it, and she wants to be able to use it, all the time, and so having it,
So instead of just leaving it all plugged in, what we're going to do is we're going to put a little device between it. So you can put a smart plug like the TP-Link Casa plug or the Belkin Wemo plug. Basically control these plugs via a smartphone app, and then also you can put it on a schedule. So if you know that mom gets up at 9, but she goes to bed at 8 p.m., so maybe this thing charges between 8 p.m. and say 2 a.m. or something like that. That's probably even too long. Now, there are some charging stations that come in that have built-in overcharge protection. And so it'll automatically stop charging the device once it reaches 100%. They cost anywhere between $20 and $50. Company by the name of Anker, Anker. They have something called the Power Wave, and that might be something that you want to look at for her. But if so, I think probably what it is, Jana, is that she doesn't want to keep bending over. That's what I would guess. Maybe afraid to fall, whatever it may be. So take a look at these overcharging stations. And again, Joan in Texas, if you're listening right now, you're lovely and you're wonderful, but stop charging to 100%. And by the way, you have a glorious, lovely, and talented daughter, Jana. How about that?
Thank you so much.
All right.
I really appreciate it.
Now, if for some reason that your mom can't get this call or she wants to hear it again, I'm more than happy to go ahead and email you a file of this call, so that's this way you can send it to her directly. If you like that, Jana, just talk to Amber. She's our lovely and talented call screener today, and she'll be sure to make that magic happen for you. And thank you for your call. Okay, we can get another phone call. I love this. Nick in Atlanta, Georgia.
First of all, I want to say thank you for all the information you provide. So many, and it's just so useful and helpful. But also to your great staff there. The interactions with them have just been amazing. But I want to say thank you all for that. But I got a quick question. I'm looking for some help on some. I take a lot of notes using my iPhone, the 14 Pro Max, using that app, guess Notes that's in there. And unfortunately, I'm just typing or I have to keep my phone up to my mouth to speak into it. Just wonder if there's an easier way of using Notes, maybe through a microphone or something like that. Currently, I work in a retail environment, so I'm walking constantly. And just looking for an easier way to be able to send my information to Notes without sitting there and type.
Well, I'll tell you, that Notes app, I think it's one of the most underrated apps that's available on your phone. It's so handy. It's so great. It is. It's wonderful. I use it. I use mine all the time, especially folks, if you've never used it, you should just try it. Even to scan documents. It will be a whole document scanner. Really, really powerful thing right there on your phone. What I'm going to recommend is a wireless lav mic. And so it's a mic that you're going to put on your shirt collar.
Okay.
And there's no wires, and then it just plugs into the phone's power port. Okay. And they're about $25, and it works really, really well. And because it's so close to on your collar, the audio recordings are going to be pretty darn good. And even if you're doing just voice to text or whichever one you're doing, that you'll find that the accuracy of that's going to be pretty much better than if you're holding the phone up to your mouth, which is so annoying.
It is.
Right?
It is, and it beats trying to type all of this stuff in the process. So,
and let me tell you, it's not a good look. It's not just walking around talking into your phone. So, hang on the line, Nick, and Maddie's going to give you a link to. I'm going to recommend the May Besta is the line. It's a cordless omnidirectional condenser recording mic. A lot of people use it for interviews, and it's on sale. I think it's on sale right now for about $25. It used to be, I think it was, I don't know, $50. It's 50% off or something going on right now. I'm not sure why, but it's a really, really great lav mic. And Nick, thank you for your call. I just love helping you guys and gals. And if you're just too shy to come on the show, I get that. You can always drop me your questions over on the website. Head over to komando.com. Then there's a link that says email Kim. I read every single note that you send me, every single one. I do reply every once in a while as well. That's komando.com and hit that link that says email Kim. I love when technology can truly make a difference. Listen to this story. Josh Furman was all alone at his Las Vegas home when suddenly his blood sugar just plummeted, and in an instant, he fainted, hitting his head hard on the floor. But when he wakes up, he's not alone. Paramedics are there by his side thanks to his Apple Watch. Okay, lifesaver, right? Here's how it works. When an Apple Watch detects a fall, you have to select one of two options. Call emergency SOS or I'm okay. What if the person isn't moving, like Josh? Well, the Apple Watch waits 1 minute. Then it starts a 30-second countdown before calling 911 automatically. Emergency dispatchers hear a message that a hard fall was detected, and then they're given the person's exact location. Next, the Apple Watch will notify the person's emergency contacts. That's how smart this smartwatch is. Really amazing technology. The Apple Watch SE Series 4 later can detect a hard fall. So if you're looking for a great present for somebody, that's it. And speaking of presents, we have all kinds of tech gift guides over on the website. That's komando.com. That's where you can get Tech Smart every single day at komando.com.
Here is hour 3.
All right, let's kick things off with a question. How connected are our teenagers in the United States to their phones? How connected? Well, Pew Research has found that 1 in 5 are on TikTok and YouTube constantly, every single moment of their day. When they're not in school, when they can't use their phones, they're on TikTok and YouTube. Wow. Facebook, it's dying. 71% of teens used it back in 2014. What do you think that percentage is now? 71% in 2014. I thought this was really high. They say today's kids use Facebook 33% of the time. I think that's actually too high. But think about this. If Facebook ever buys Gmail, right? If Facebook ever buys Gmail, you know that option Mark has seen was going to be changed to Mark has seen. So Mark as seen is going to be changed to Mark has seen. Get it? Mark Zuckerberg has seen. I know. That was a long way to go for a drink of water. All right. You're about ready to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. I'm, of course, Kim Komando, America's digital goddess, here with you. It's the biggest show. It's the most trusted show about all things digital. If it's their first time tuning in, a huge welcome to you and to our returning listeners. It's always nice to see a familiar face. Now, you can find my award-winning show on over 420 top stations across the United States. And you can find us as a podcast, as a webcast, commercial-free over at komando.com. Just hit that button that says Komando Community. You can also find the show commercial-free in Apple Podcasts as well. And a special hello goes out to all of our listeners in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and Space Force in 175 different countries who are joining us on the American Forces Network Radio, serving more than 375,000 American servicemen and women. And here at the Kim Komando Show, we thank each and every one of you for your service to our country. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. Well, you can count on me to check at least 35 different websites every single day to bring you up to date on the top 5 things you need to know about tech right now. We're going to start with online reviews. Super important. But I read this story over at the Wall Street Journal that all of us are just so tired of being asked to review so many things. And then we're also being coerced into giving everybody just a 5-star review, because if you don't give them a 5-star review, they start asking you all kinds of questions, right? So businesses are bullying and harassing us to have these great reviews. Now, one gal, Lucy Josephs, told the Wall Street Journal that she found a hostel with all these great reviews. So she decided to book it. But the stay wasn't as great as she hoped. So she left a realistic, mediocre rating. And she wrote that she was really disappointed in this particular hostel, that the staff was not friendly. And because of the rating, the owner actually DM'd her personally on Instagram and said, "I'm sorry that you felt that our place was not that great, but a low rating really hurt us." He then pressured her to rewrite it over and over and over again until she ended up just blocking him. Wow. Moving on to number 2, GM says, oh, we're just trying to help you. GM is ditching Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in all their new EVs like the 2024 Chevy Blazer. They say it's because of safety reasons. They say that our phones are too distracting. CarPlay and Android Auto let you run GPS from your phone to your car's infotainment system, Spotify, Pandora, things like that. So GM says that you have to use, and they want you to use their Ultifi system, which it developed with Google. So you could do the same things as you could with CarPlay. Just think of all the sweet data and all the cash that GM's going to be making from their in-app purchases. GM already collects a lot of data on us if you use the app, the My GMC app. The privacy policies, they collect everything from your name, address, your geolocation data, your age, your race, your color, religion, medical conditions, physical disabilities, mental disabilities. It goes on and on and on. And GM, can't believe they have just a straight face to say, we're just doing this to help you, Sure. Moving on to number 3, if you download 1984 by George Orwell from Amazon straight to your Kindle, your phone, or your tablet, Big Brother is actually watching you. Amazon dominates this market. 72% of e-readers are owned by Amazon, and it's tracking more. It's snooping on your entire web activity to package it off and sell it to who knows who. So if you check out a book on depression, religion, whatever, they collect that data, even where you're reading it, things that you've outlined in the book or underlined or looked up. No laws to stop this, by the way. So yeah, Big Brother's actually reading over your shoulder. So what can you do? Look for ebooks in open formats like EPUB, which you can read on various apps. If you're downloading books online, use a VPN. Head to the library. Might be old-fashioned, zero tracking. Get ebooks on a USB stick or CD if they do offer that. Moving on to number 4, this one's really interesting to me. Some startling numbers from 2021. Drunk driving has caused over 13,000 deaths. Financial impact, $280 billion in lost wages, medical bills, and more. So now the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is looking to do something about it. They're thinking about forcing technology into cars that would stop drunk driving. They're beginning to gather information about this. So what kind of tech? Think sensors that can sniff out if you've had a drink through your breath or even your skin. Cameras that will check for weird eye movements. Facial recognition software. Alcohol vapor sensors. Telematics. Let me tell you something. I'm all for stopping drunk drivers, but there's got to be something less invasive than this. And finally, number 5, the ultimate revenge. Let's say you want to get back at your ex after a horrible breakup. Instead of stalking their pics on Instagram or Facebook to see where they've been or who this new person is, there's another way to get your revenge. There's a TikTok gal by the name of Madeline Salazar. She has been making fake boyfriends in her selfies. She says she wants to win every breakup and she wants to make every ex jealous. She has a few pics up of her AI boyfriends, one of a guy working on her shower. One of her at a nightclub with a handsome gentleman. These guys aren't real, by the way. She used Adobe's generative AI tool in Photoshop to make it all work. She's racked up 55 million views for her images of just these dreamy guys resting on her shoulder, holding her hand. Some call it hilarious. Other people say it's just toxic. Madeline has a YouTube tutorial, by the way, for all your DIY fake romance needs. Oh my gosh. What a world we live in. Speaking of boyfriends, why did the female asteroid deny her boyfriend's marriage proposal? Think about this one. Why did the female asteroid deny her boyfriend's marriage proposal? Ready for it? Because she was scared of commitment. Like instead of commitment, comment. Oh, okay. I know. This is just embarrassing. They're getting worse. I promise they're going to get better. They will get better. Just stay with me. It seems like every single day we see yet another headline about artificial intelligence. It's going to radically change our lives. It's going to take away all of our jobs and maybe even end all of mankind. But how much of this is hype? How much of this is real? So to give us a great perspective here on the show, so delighted, so thrilled that we have with us Dr. Ben Goertzel. He's one of AI's most prominent figures. Now, you may have heard his name before, big time guy, Sophia the robot, made for Hanson Robotics. He's also the brains behind Singularity Net. That's the world's leading decentralized AI marketplace. And the OpenCog AI framework, that's a platform designed to foster AGI. Yes, that's yet another term. That's artificial general intelligence. Now, if you don't know what that means, we're going to be getting into that, so just stay with us. Dr. Goertzel, so thankful that you're here with us. How did you get involved in all this?
Oh, I've been interested in AI since late 1960s, early 1970s, when I was a little kid and saw AI robots on Star Trek and other science fiction shows. It already seemed clear to me as a young child that, if you could make AI and robots that were as smart as people, I mean, that would be the beginning of all sorts of amazing things. And any other invention you wanted, they'll invent for you. You'll be on to an era of abundance, right? So this has inspired me since I was a quite young child. I went on, got a PhD in mathematics, but then since I got my PhD in the 80s, I've been working toward building smarter and smarter machines. And it's an amazing time to be in the AI field now. The world is suddenly starting to get excited about what I've been on about for a half century.
Which is something. I just threw out the term AGI, artificial general intelligence. And that is so different than AI, where AGI can help basically make its own decisions. How would you define AGI for everybody who's listening and watching right now?
Yeah, AGI is part of AI. It's a kind of AI. I mean, an AI is basically any hardware or software system that does stuff that we think of as smart when people do it, which could be driving a car, playing chess, writing an essay, whatever. And an AGI has to be able to generalize beyond its programming and beyond its training. So an AGI has to be able to take a bit of a creative leap into the unknown. And of course, most of what we do in our lives is fairly routine and doesn't involve taking a creative leap in the unknown. But every now and then we can do that, which is why culture and technology and science and so on have evolved, right? So once you get to a human level AGI that can generalize and take leaps into the unknown as well as people, I mean, then you're into a sort of different era of history, because then a human level AGI can probably make a slightly smarter AGI, which can make an even smarter AGI. Then you're into what my friend Ray Kurzweil called the technological singularity, when progress is so fast it seems infinite to the human mind. And without AGI, with just sort of narrow AI that sticks to its training and programming, you're never going to get a singularity that goes way beyond everything ever imagined. So you can look at ChatGPT that we're all familiar with now. Amazing system, can revolutionize large sectors of the economy, but in the end, it's kind of remixing all the stuff that was fed into it. It's not taking a big leap into the unknown, which is a limitation.
How long do you think it'll take before something like a tool like ChatGPT would actually be AGI enabled instead of just AI enabled, and it only goes back till April of 2023? And I know that we have Google Bard and Gemini and everything else that's out there, but how long do you think it's going to be before we actually see that?
I think we're looking at 3 to 8 years before a breakthrough to full-on human level AGI, and that's from there. It probably is only a couple more years till you get a super intelligence that's much smarter than people, and this is it's a weird thing to realize.
So, Doctor, how do you control a good AI being, superlative, as you said, from not becoming a bad one?
I don't think we control it. I think we can guide it. We have the power to create the early stage AGI minds in a way that guides them toward compassion and human benefit. And I think that's what we should do. That's what I'm working on.
Which would be wonderful. I'm just thinking of governments that may not necessarily want to control that, various countries that would build this for nefarious purposes.
Countries would like to control AI. Countries would also like to control the internet, and they're not fully doing that, right? I mean, the fact that governments would like to control something doesn't mean that they can succeed at that, particularly in the democratic world where what people want actually matters. And I mean, we can see that with current calls to slow down and ban the growth of AI systems. But I mean, people want to use ChatGPT. People want self-driving cars. I mean, people, just like people want the internet, and they want their X and their TikTok, right? I mean, so I mean, I think on the whole, if AI is providing services that people enjoy and want to use, and people feel are making their lives better, I think it will continue to grow and be rolled out more and more widely. People will complain and hand-wring about it like they do about the internet and mobile phones, but all these things are serving value for people, and people want them, and they're going to keep getting rolled out and delivered to people.
Doctor, thank you so much for being here and shedding some light on it. I think, some really interesting points that you brought up, and thank you. All right, let's change gears just a little bit. It's a common question that I get. How can I make sure that my older family members aren't falling for texting and phone scams? I mean, you probably have someone in your family who just didn't grow up with the sorts of technology, the phones that we have around today. And that's a real problem because older folks fall victim to phone scams, stolen identities, and hacking. But you can help, and here are some ways. Number one, block unknown callers on their phone. We all know what an unknown number is. It's just a scammer. Now, just be sure that you tell them that if they're expecting a phone call from someone who's not on their contact list, maybe it's a pharmacy or maybe it's a doctor, it's going to go straight to voicemail. Number two on our list. Now, lots of important information is stored on a phone. If it gets lost, if it gets stolen, it gets broken beyond repair, your loved one could lose everything. So get their phone on iCloud or Google One app with automated backups. That's really important. Number three, be sure that you turn on their phone's emergency and medical ID settings because a smartphone can really save a life. Kids today, they don't want to grow up to be firefighters, teachers, doctors, or scientists. What do they want to be? Influencers. Yes, more than half of all Gen Zers think they could have a career in influencer marketing and content creation. Now, one university in Ireland is offering a college degree in this. It's going to take on 40 students, and they're going to say we have so many applicants, we're going to have to turn so many people away. Now, here's the deal. No one's going to buy an influencer and follow them if they just influence. You have to have something to share. You have to have a skill. Even Kim Kardashian shares her passion for makeup on Instagram. So you can get a degree, you can get some experience, and then use that for content. Learn how to influence on the side. Now, how can you do this? HubSpot offers free certifications in social media marketing. Coursera offers influencer marketing strategies, and so does YouTube. Again, HubSpot, Coursera, or even just search on YouTube. All right, let's see. Brandon in Spokane Valley, Washington. Hi there, Brandon.
Well, I've been kind of exploring about some GPS tracking on my work vehicles, increase efficiency, help me do mileage billing for my customers, insurance discount, that sort of thing. But I was looking for something simple. I know they have ones that like plug into the OBD2 scan port on the vehicle. That way they can stay charged. It might be easy for guys to unplug them, bring them into the office. What I don't want to have or I don't need is like a live feed on that. I don't need to be able to check in all the time, but these things carry a yearly subscription. I'm trying to figure out how to get away from that.
There's a couple of ways for you to do this. How many vehicles do you have?
Like 5.
Like 5? Okay. A simple, easy way would be just to pop an AirTag in each of the cars. Have you thought of that?
Not really.
Yeah, so the Apple AirTags, you buy 4 for $89 on Amazon.
Really?
And so I actually have an AirTag in each of my cars. And so you can put it under the seat, You can don't put it in the glove box. That's the first place where everybody looks to find them. Okay.
Okay.
Or on the center console. So you can tuck it in under the seat. Now, keep in mind that if somebody else has an iPhone, that they're going to get a notification that says there's an unknown AirTag near you. A lot of people, what they recommend is that if it's going to be on vehicles where you think that may be an issue, and I'm not giving this out in case you're a stalker, because obviously you're not, is what they do is they put the AirTag somewhere in the engine itself with some duct tape. And so this way the AirTag will always stay there, but people don't know enough to look in the engine. If they look in the engine, it's going to be really hard to find something the size of a quarter that has been duct taped over. But the beautiful thing about that is that it doesn't cost you anything. Okay. I mean, it costs you that one time, but there's no ongoing subscription. You do get real-time tracking. You know, and as far as, you know, being able to go back in time, it doesn't necessarily do that. But if that was something that you would want, there is another product. It's going to cost you $150, called the Trackit GPS, and that's Trackit. It's TRAKKIT GPS. The Trackit GPS.
Okay.
And it's about $150. There's no monthly fee. There's no subscription. It uses Wi-Fi to communicate, so you don't need cell phone service. But it does do GPS real-time tracking, logging, and reporting. And so you can, so it records all this, and then once in range of Wi-Fi, that's when it uploads all the data.
Oh, great. So if I wanted to explore more with the AirTag, is that something that's exclusive to Apple? Because I'm an Android user.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know why we let you on the show. Kidding.
Come on.
Android, you're going to look at a tile tracker. Same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So Apple's for Apple's. Apple AirTags for Apple. Tile trackers for Android. Samsung also makes their own. And then if you think that maybe you need more than that, take a look at that Trackit GPS. Again, that's TRAKKIT GPS. And if you need any help afterwards, Brandon, I'm your gal. I'm right here for you. All right, let's talk about tech myths. I've got several for them. Number one, private browsing is totally private. Not. ISPs, advertisers, websites can still spot you. Incognito means unknown. So always log out from sensitive accounts and using a VPN for an extra layer of privacy. And we recommend ExpressVPN. All right. The more megapixels, the better the camera. Nah, not really. Okay. Photos are often shot with cameras less than 20 megapixels. I'm talking about the really good shots. And don't shoot in RAW unless you actually need to. Files take up way too much room. Macs are the Fort Knox of computers. No, they're secure, not invincible. You still need AV software. Deleting files are gone for good. Nope. Your PC's recycle bin, trash can. File shredding software is the one that you need to use to make sure that the files are truly gone. Charging phones overnight kills the battery. Most times it's not going to do that. They have built-in circuits to prevent overcharging. You don't want to do it every single night, but once in a while it's not going to do too much damage. Jim in Spokane, Washington. Hi there, Jim.
Good. Well, I always appreciate your show and your newsletters, and I just want to give you a call. I'm recording long-time residents of Sandpoint, Idaho, and their history. And some of these people are in their 80s, and I'm currently using a Tascam DR40X linear PCM recorder.
Nice.
And it works well, but it's difficult sometimes to put that right in front of somebody. And I don't feel comfortable maybe trying to apply a lapel mic or something on these older folks. And I want to be respectful of distance. And so I thought if there's something that was I could place in front of them but down on the table, not as big as the Tascam itself. Right. And then the other question I had is some people can only be accessed by phone, and I'd like to use the same device if possible, although I'm willing to change, to record people on my phone. Now, I can't record it on the phone because it has to go onto an SD memory card that I then turn into the museum afterwards for storage.
Well, you could always record it on your phone and then transfer it to an SD card. I mean, that's not a problem.
Yeah,
they're not putting anything in the cloud. My concern is why were you even doing SD anyway?
Well, I'm doing it on the device that I have. There's not a whole lot of funds for this, and so I'm using what they have currently.
Okay. Well, okay, we're going into different directions. So let's start at the beginning. Okay.
Okay.
Number one, a lav mic is going to give you really good sound quality.
Okay.
I know you said you don't want to clip this on, but it can be attached close to the speaker, and that's going to be giving you clear audio without worrying about them moving their heads around or not being able to project their voice to a microphone.
Right.
It's going to capture their voice just right underneath them. Of course, you could always do a headset with a mic right in front of their lips as well. But again, this depends upon, how you feel. Like you said, I don't know if I feel comfortable doing that. Another thing you can look at is what's called a shotgun mic. And you've seen these in movies and things. It's where it can be pointed towards the speaker. And so you're going to put it on a stand and maybe put it directly, in between you and them, but it's going to be high enough so it's right near their mouth. The whole idea is that the closer that you can get that audio recording device next to their mouth, the better off that you're going to be. I don't think putting a mic on a desk is going to give you anything because you're going to get a lot of ambient sound.
Okay.
And that's definitely what we don't want. You might also want to consider is there are these like pictures, like a half moon. I can't think of who makes the one that I have. Like about a half moon where it's filled with material that you see in a sound booth.
Mm.
And so what you could do is get one of those. They're not expensive, like $100.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mic gets attached to that. And so sometimes when I'm traveling, I might even carry one of these with me.
Okay.
So that this way I can do our daily tech updates and our daily digital life hacks without the sound reflecting off of a hotel room wall or something like that. And so I'm going to send you a link to one of those, and then you could just hook a mic in there. That might be the best one, especially if you don't want to put a lav on them or anything like that. Now, as far as what do you want to talk about? The recording on your phone. I would record this on the phone and use the phone's recording app, whether it's voice recorder or something like that, and then have that saved up to the cloud. And if it's on an SD card, you can always save it on. The reason for the cloud is that this way we don't have to risk the card's failure, because they do fail. I'm sure it's happened to you. You're like, oh my gosh, or you lose it. Like, oh, what was on that little card anyway? Yeah. I don't remember, type of thing. And then, of course, you can also transcribe it once it's up in the cloud too, or on your desktop or whatever it may be. I like to use Otter.ai. I don't know if you've tried that.
No.
But it's nice. It's called Otter.ai. What's really nice is that it will say person number one, person number two, and then you can go in and say, this is Jim and this was Carol or this was Bob. And then you have the whole transcription done by person. And then you can go in and you can edit it. So you're like, okay, I don't need this sentence because it didn't catch the whole sentence.
Right.
But in order to actually transcribe this conversation, what do you need first? Yes, a really good audio recording.
Right.
Right. So I think if I were tasked with this job, I would invest, like you said, there's not a lot of funds, but it's, I would invest in one of these portable recording, little tiny, like just really like studio, like a half moon that goes around the microphone, and then put that as close as we could to their mouths. And then, and also with a filter that will, so that this way, if they pop any peas or if they do anything like that, that we could get that filter out. Do you want me to put together a shopping list for you?
That'd be wonderful.
Okay.
And the lapel mic might kind of meet some of my thoughts too, or my needs. So if you had a recommendation on that, that'd be wonderful.
Okay. So I'm going to put you on hold. Let's get your email address, Jim, so that this way I can put everything together for you in one little package. And then for everybody else, if you're wondering like, hey, I need that too, Make sure that you subscribe to our free newsletter. Super easy to subscribe. Head over to getkim.com. I'll go ahead and post that list inside there. Once again, that's getkim.com. Okay, let's see. Denise in Orlando, Florida. Hi there, Denise.
Well, I bought a new laptop because the old one I had, the operating system was old. I was told by a tech that I needed to upgrade. So I bought one, kind of a mid-range, around $500 or $600. Paid a little extra to have them change put my data from the old computer, all my information files, onto the new computer because I didn't know how to do that. So they did it, and now I've got the old computer back. I don't know how to dispose of it. I want to be safe because I'm sure stuff's in there, and I don't know what to do or who to give it to or how to get rid of what's in there and know that it's being safely disposed of, the information and then the unit itself. Can you give me any advice?
Well, here's the deal. First of all, really smart in having somebody transfer the files from one place to the other, because I've heard from so many people who have done it the wrong way over the years and then lost their stuff. So now that you have your old computer, what you want to do is what's called, this is the technical term, wiping the hard drive. And basically what it does is it removes all your personal data from the hard drive, but you have to use special software in order to do that. You just can't go over and do to a prompt, remove or delete del asterisk dot asterisk. I mean, those days are long gone. So there's special data wiping software. One is called DBAN. That's a letter D and then BAN. The other one is Eraser. And how they work, it's pretty innovative, is that it overwrites all the data on the hard drive that makes it unrecoverable. See, a lot of people don't realize that when you just remove a file on a hard drive, the file is actually there. What is removed is just the flag. So a flag will go up and say, okay, you can save some stuff over here. So unless you overwrite that data, that data can be written, it can be recovered, and somebody can actually see what was there. So again, a couple of programs that you want to use is DBAN or Eraser. Then once you wipe the hard drive, you can donate it. You can try to sell it on eBay. A lot of retailers like Office Depot and others, they have free recycling programs. And then you can also check with local charities and maybe schools and churches and synagogues because they might accept donations of old computers. You can find links to DBAN and Eraser over at Komando.com. And Denise, thank you for your call. Such great questions. Now, if you're just too shy to come on a big-time show and podcast, I get that. Head over to Komando.com and hit that link that says Email Kim. Once again, that's Komando.com, that link that says Email Kim. I read every single note that you send. Komando.com and hit the button that says Email Kim. When you take a selfie, it's a lot more than just you in that photo, right? You may have your private location data. You see, your phone keeps track of your location for a lot of good reasons, okay? Think Google Maps or Uber or Postmates, whatever it may be. That's one thing that you probably don't know is that it extends to your photo. So when you take a picture, your phone has something called metadata that it's going to put with that photo. The metadata includes the date it was taken, the camera's settings, and the location where the picture was taken. So when you share your image, anyone can have access to that data, even a stranger. So to stop location sharing on your iPhone, open the image that you want to share, go to Options, and then toggle off location. On Android, open that gallery, select the photos, go to Details, and click Remove Location Data. If you need these steps, they're over on the website, Komando.com, where, by the way, knowledge is power. You can get TechSmart every single day at Komando.com. And after all, that's what we all need.